save the file since I have that. And now I'm off to drawing the shoreline. Like I did with the clouds, of course set this back. All I do is just trace a little pattern here or something like that. Of course if I don't like the shape, I just Z it and try again. I do kind of keep it within certain bounds, but I got all this image here to do. So yeah, I got plenty of room. This part will take quite some time, and thus, I don't want it, I actually want it to be quite gradual in a way. And sometimes I do actually fix along the way to kind of help guide. Like for example this, make sure that's 100%. Just like that, for example, is some of the corrections I make along the way, but that just gives you the idea. So I'll just continue this until I get to, or otherwise, the end. So sometimes for better results I get a little zoomed out. And I just keep trying until I get the right angle. Now that I'm otherwise finally at the end, the next thing I need to do is make sure it lines up with over here somewhere so that it tiles. Where exactly was that? All I need to do here is I just mark the position, and I see a 33 down here. So I mark 33. That's 34. Here's 33. Okay, now I note the shape. It's going that way very slightly, so I need to invert that. That's too much slope. That's much better. And otherwise just join it up from there. Of course this part's flawed, so I need to redo. And one thing you might have noticed is it changed. This whole thing is different. And that's because there's one thing I overlooked. And that's that fade that I liked from Jeremy's house that you saw in that texture. Of course here's an area where it's really far, as in there's a lot of water out to the shore. You're really out in the middle of the lake. Then again, it might be closer on the shore this side though. So, well, you get the idea. And here the water's actually not too far away. And this part here is a scaling of 24, 25, 26, 27, here's 28. So you can get an idea on just how much that gradient actually covers, 4 scaling units. So yeah, it's quite significant. So I otherwise just need to get this going. I need to get my mouse either fixed or something, because it's driving me nuts every now and then. Okay, I'll do it this way. Of course, that isn't strong enough. That's actually pretty close. I do take some time to adjust from here, and when I'm otherwise at the end, I do take some considerable amount of time to make those last adjustments. Like this here could actually be made longer. And speaking of which, that's actually about the next stage of the process. Kind of create a little mathematical curve or something where it's actually accelerating. Of course, it actually really doesn't matter much at the moment. However, there's one other problem. What's the color of the water I have? I don't exactly know. And thus, I need to import it. Water day, in this case, I reference the solid for now. Solid is monotonic, if this is any clue. It's for when it really gets distant. So, of course, I need another separate layer for that. So, duplicate the background, of which I'll do fairly frequently. Let's see, the sand would have to be on top. So, I'll just call it water. It's actually going to be textured though. So that kind of does make me kind of think on how I do that. Of course, I do get puzzles like that every now and then as well. And for the shoreline, all I do is just select that. Everything above it becomes that. And from there, just like I did with the clouds, I smooth out the curves and stuff so you don't get these weird areas like that. And get it these off jagged parts here, and the sudden angle change there. And it's usually quite unrealistic. Okay, so the whole thing didn't fill. Easy enough to fix. And that's basically the shape of the shoreline. And with that much progress done, might as well get rid of these since I no longer need them now. I save, and there you have it. Because I only need those so I can get the color. Zoom in, and now I just otherwise make these fine adjustments on this part. Let's see, something like that. Need to get it accelerating. Cars, let's see, this seems a little fast over here. Still fast. That's better. And this is just otherwise carried on all the way through to the end. That one's a little too much by 1 pixel, but every 1 pixel does make a difference. So I'll just continue on doing this until I clear this part of the process. Couldn't remember where I was. That happens, but it's quite rare. After having completed all the shoreline and also some extra islands in here too, like I wanted, well, there is one thing I've kind of noticed. And, well, there is no room up here for grass, which means I have to either extend it or redo it. And in my case, I'd actually rather prefer an extension. Why? Because I can also do the roads and pathways all in one, which does give me an extra advantage. Of course, I still have all this extra memory slots left over, so I might as well actually make use out of it. Of course, this may no longer apply now. So how far am I going to go? I'm leaning toward 36 at the far end. And so, 36 it is. And I need quite a few extra rows. A lot of extra rows. Should be somewhere around there. Yep, one too many though. Mark X's right after every block of 64, because that way I can just keyboard navigation to jump big jumps. And that's pretty much otherwise it. So now I need to redistribute this. Let's see. Of course, this number is going to be different now, so I can clear that out. 559. Okay, 559. That's pretty close. 559. I don't remember the rest of it, so I'll just put X's at the end, so I know that there's some uncertainty on there. It's not critical that I have the exact figure, considering that this is obviously below, so in that case I'm fine. Let's see, I got a 274. I need more precision. 274, 464, and that's too much. So in that case, I just go to another one. 2616. This is pretty close, so put the 2616 on there. I don't remember what the other two digits were, so I'll just replace them with X's for now. And what was that other number? Let's see. You know, that's what I'm forgetting. What is that 559? That one ends at 32 and 3/8. 32 and 3/8 goes to, I don't know what, 2616. Okay, that goes to 33 and 3/8. How interesting. It's exactly one. Okay, so I got a 274. Can I use you? That's a little off. Let's see if I can get closer. The closer I can get, the least amount of waste I have. Let's see. 2376. 2376. Now this is very close. So 237600. I memorized that one. And let's see. 34 and 5/16. Now can I use the 274? 536. Oh boy, it's close again. Nope, ain't gonna work. Boy, that is really close. Really close. Appears to be off by 88, but it doesn't really matter. But anyway, 209. No, a lot of waste there. 174. A lot of waste there. Well, I guess I'll just use the 274. Let's see. Yeah, that'll work. 274 XXX. And this will be one of those 174080 values. And that otherwise ends that list. Let's see, where'd you end? 35 and 3/8 again. 35.375 to 36. They don't all have to be used. These are just extras for leftover things that I could probably make some use out of. So that's otherwise a new updated version, extended range. So that means, since I've otherwise went from 8 scaling units spanning, and now it's 12, which means the image height is 12 over 8 times bigger. Basically 1.5, which means 384. In this case, I just go image canvas size 384, scoot that down because it's being extended upwards more into the distance, and from there I just make all the fine tuning, including the scaling grid. So let's see. Background layer I need to extend up. The water layer needs to get extended up. This does as well, but I can't do it directly. Why? That's why. Can't have that happen. But there is an easy fix. Just start the position there, all the way to the other end. Mark it there. And what do you know? Now it works. See? No odd gaps, which is exactly what I'm expecting. So what about the scaling grid? That's easy. So then say extended 4, that means I need 4 on these, or actually just 128 on the image. I'll just use 128 here. So that way I know 36 at the top is just that, for the top. So, That's otherwise how I make the adjustments there, in the off chance I need to do that because of design changes or something. The next part of this process is putting in all those gradients, such as, for example, the water going from this shade to that more turquoise shade. That's just one of the changes I need to make, or one of the gradients. The other one is from the sand to the grass. However, there is one thing that I need to do before any of this can even start. What's going on? I need to, because otherwise, as is, the shoreline is pretty much going to be the same everywhere. As in, from here to here, it's going to be gray, all sand. Same thing here to here, it's going to be all sand. From here to here, all sand. The only way to increase the amount of sand in certain places to get wider sandy beaches is to duplicate this, and I'll just call this one beaches, and now I just basically extend on that. The mouse doesn't seem to want to work. I think it's my mouse pad that's messing things up, because it's awfully smooth for some reason instead of rough. Well, it was rough, but now it's different. So all I gotta do for this is actually pretty simple. I take this layer, get that sand color again, go to here, and I just make little extensions here and there. And of course, if I want to see it a little better, see where I'm actually extending, I make that base layer a little bit fainter. And of course, do all these little fine-tuning things as usual. And that otherwise is all I need. Of course, I need to make sure it matches and stuff, but that's no big deal. So I'll just continue on with this until pretty much I'm done with this part of the process. Of course, one other thing I may sometimes do is to kind of have an overlap kind of thing. Like, for example, at 40 I'll make this 60. In areas where it's like this, I know there's an overlap. This one's a little more visible, so I'll know that it's, make that 70. That's too faint. But you get the idea, right? So that way I can see the contrast between the shoreline and this and other such things, right? That's just one of my techniques I use. So that way I can know what's extra and what was there before and what's the overlap. So that way I can do all the fine tuning I need.